The girl with the red umbrella. In this mortal life, everyone knows there are a few things we cannot take control of, such as death, time, and love. The story I'm about to tell you is the choices between life and death, love and let go. There are times when love is selfishness, whereas letting go is the peak of true love. On a moonless night, a breeze of wind is hovering the air, with a blurry light ray shining in my bedroom, but it helps me see clearly what's going on around. I am Peter, 24 years old, a Chinese France half-blood. I live in a small 2-story house in a quiet neighborhood. The only sound I can hear occasionally is the crackle of the old gate. Keeps running from the angry wind hitting it. But I am not alone. I have my old pet dog Kiki to keep me company. Every night, Kiki would curl up in his old bed down the first floor, so I wouldn't be worried about burglars. Even though, since I moved here, I haven't seen anyone lose anything, even if the door was just partly closed and not even locked. Besides, I have nothing precious to steal other than my dad, an Omoji, old chest. My mother's France and on an unexpected visit to China. She fell in love with my father. I lived in France with my mum until 17. Then I moved to China with my dad when my mum passed away. Because of my benevolent nature, I cannot follow my father's career, in spite of his high hopes on me following his. Not long from the time my father passed away, I went back to France and rented a small house in a poor neighborhood, if not a slum, and opened a small umbrella shop here. I am strongly addicted to coffee, as usual. I have my lovely coffee cup and my favorite book on the balcony, and enjoy each of them with ultimate joy. Strangely, today the moon has gone hiding, following with a heavy gust, and I feel so uncomfortable, I had goosebumps. Finishing my last coffee sip, I open the door and get ready to go to bed. Suddenly, a diabolic howling catches me off guard. The wind gushing in the air. I rush to the porch and look down. There's a man with a red umbrella in my front door, and it's too dark to identify who it is. I go downstairs to open the gate. The gate is so heavy, they make a heavy crack every time I open it. I glance out and see Mark, my neighbor, but he looks so different today. Today is a chilly day, if not cold, but he's sweating rapidly, despite his house being just a few footsteps to mine. Well, whatever. I'm opening the door for Mark, then out of nowhere, a girl holding a red umbrella is standing right next to Mark. The umbrella covers almost all of her face, so the only thing that attracts me is a blossom red lipstick, and she's smiling at me. She wears a blue dress with red heels, holding a red umbrella with freakishly long and red fingernails, and it's gripping Mark's hand, like it's the only life source it needs. Her hand is pure white with a long finger. Her red and looks like super sharp fingernails makes me feel anxious. Mark introduces her as his new girlfriend. They've been together for 2 weeks and planning to get married. Hi Peter, I'm Tracy. Nice to meet you. Tracy reached her hand out, waiting for my response. Shaking Tracy's hand, I can feel a sudden surge running down my spine. I can feel her fingernails touch my hand and can stab through my wrinkled skin anytime. I pull my hand out of the fear she could hurt me and bring up a really awkward smile. Put myself together. I kindly ask Mark and Tracy to come in and have a drink. But Mark declines and insists on going to other houses to bring the good news. Don't want to keep him here, I pat Mark's shoulders, wave them goodbye, and then shut the door. My hand is soaking wet. Why would Mark be sweating so much? Inside that tiny house, I'm rolling back and forth unconsciously, covered in sweat. My hands are tearing up the blanket. I know I am dreaming a horrible dream, but I cannot wake up. Outside, there's someone banging on the door, which helps me to get out of my tremendously bad nightmare. Morning. Light rays are creeping inside my bedroom through a small window. Sit up and a big yawn. I step down to see who's outside. Mrs. Melody, my other neighbor, is telling me right now Mark's brother, Johnson, has died on his bed last night. I stick my head out the window and all I can see is medics bringing Johnson's body outside and taking him away. There's something like water dripping out of his body. Everything in this neighborhood, the bone-dry yard, the street, the scorching sun, where does the water come from? I'm standing there struggling with my thoughts. Then I cry out from Mark, brings me back to the real world. I feel really bad for Mark. He's getting married soon, and his brother won't be there on his biggest day. I decide to come over and comfort him. Step inside the house. I jump when there's a girl sitting on the sofa holding a red umbrella. Mark's sitting next to her, crying his eyes out. Mark's cries sound like he just lost something he holds very dear. I want to step closer and maybe give him some kind encouragement, but I suddenly notice Tracy, Mark's girlfriend. Tracy just stands there quietly staring at Mark. She is still wearing the same blue dress, popping out the umbrella when she's in the house, and it covers almost all of her face. The only thing that reveals is the blossom red lips stand out her pale white skin. Her hands are still gripping him tightly. After just one night, Mark looks like he has had his life force drained out, emancipated. His eyes darken with red veins flowing through his pupils. His whole body is soaked to the bone. All of this making his posture of crying extremely terrifying. Although Johnson's death makes Mark devastated, there's no way Mark has such a destroyed appearance for one night. His chair where he sits is soaking wet, and water's even dripping down the wooden floor. I quietly pull out my father yin-yang glasses and walk around the house, find some stranger things. I even look at Tracy with the glass once, but there's no difference. Even though I find nothing, but I insist on pulling Mark to the bar and have a beer. After a long time of encouragement, Mark finally pours himself out. He isn't especially handsome or talented. Although he has the body of Hercules, but he has never gotten a girlfriend due to his big tremendous scar cut through his nasal bridge from his childhood accident. It can be said that his life had no special impact until he met Tracy. Tracy loves him from the first sight. She always comes to him and nurtures him. She understands him more than he does. Since Tracy becomes part of Mark's life, his relationship with his brother, Johnson, is getting better and closer. His brother was always careless and cold with Mark, but now he was one saying the first thing and engaging every day. I instantly ask about Tracy. Where did she come from? Why would she love Mark? Why would she ask to get married that instant? I met Tracy on a rainy day. She was holding a red umbrella, and walked past me. Suddenly, she turned around and gave me a big smile. We have been together ever since. She's always on my side. Sometimes I do question her relationship with me, but to be honest, I can't find anything to show that she's using me. She loves me and wants to be with me. That's all, Mark says. Obviously, Tracy isn't normal. Not to mention why Tracy keeps approaching Mark, but clearly Tracy is too mysterious. And why Mark always gets wet when he's next to her. Even when Johnson died, he's wet with dripping water out the street, but there's no sign of a rainy day. Maybe she is not human. She wants to harm Mark, but why did the yin-yang glasses not pick up anything? I have the curiosity to ask Mark to stay away from Tracy, because she might be bad luck to be with. Mark is so pissed with me, and he sees that I'm going to curse him somehow, then gives me the finger and leaves. Not to forget to warn me about fabricating lies about Tracy. Today is the same as every day. I wake up cleaning and opening my shop. I'm expecting a normal day, but a normal guest appears. It's Mark. He comes to my house. Behind him, there's a person whom I can guarantee is Tracy. Same as before, she's holding a red umbrella when the weather is bone dry. Mark's facial expression is not at all a good sign. His dark eyes, pale white skin, bleeding lips, even his nerves pumping and revealing everywhere on his face. He looks like a zombie more than a man. What is strange about Mark is he's still soaking wet, like he just came out the shower and didn't dry up. Are you okay? I asked Mark, but deep inside I've already sure Mark had some kind of trouble. If not, he wouldn't be here. Especially, look at him. He can't be okay with that look. Mark lets Tracy wait outside, says that he needs to find me and ask about Johnson. Tracy nods and quietly stands waiting outside. I glance at Tracy. If she's something really not of this world, example, like demons and ghosts, then why would she appear in the middle of the day? And if she's not normal like my glasses could reveal her, why can she get past it? I'm losing my thoughts. Then Mark drags me into my bedroom. His face looks like he had been in hell. I know for sure Mark doesn't want to know anything about Johnson from me, but I stay quiet. I thought of crossing my arms and listening to Mark, but I can feel that my hands are wet. So wet, it couldn't be sweat. Can't wait for Mark to say anything. I pull out my yin-yang glasses and look at Mark. The 3 flames inside Mark's still there, but it's really weak. If those 3 flames pull out, he would be facing death soon enough. In that critical situation, I urge him to tell me what's wrong. Tracy says she likes umbrellas, so she goes everywhere with that red one, Mark says. Although I am so close to losing my patience, I'm trying to listen to everything Mark has to say. I like Tracy. I want to express my feelings, want her to be mine forever. I brought her a perfect floral umbrella to make her feel happy, like a pleasant surprise. When she didn't notice, I pushed her umbrella away so I could take the new one for her. But who can expect in that instant I pushed the umbrella away, the sunlight shone on Tracy's hand. Then I saw. Mark hesitated to continue speaking. What did you see? I'm eager. I saw Tracy's arm turn an ash-grey color, as if it had been on fire. At that moment, Tracy suddenly shouted and then turned to stare at me. But her eyes were not gentle as usual. It's like she wanted to kill me right away, Mark said in a terrifying voice. After hearing Mark's story, I felt like I was wide awake. Finally, I was able to understand why Tracy can be active outside in the sun. She is definitely a ghost. The reason the yin and yang glasses couldn't be detected was because the red umbrella protected her. Just standing under that umbrella, she could completely function as a normal person without being affected. But there's one thing that troubles me. Based on normality of ghosts, to kill a person is extremely simple, even if it wants to suck your aura and life force. 1 to 2 days is efficient enough. But Tracy and Mark have been together for more than half a month, and Mark is still alive. After all, why did Tracy want to be with Mark? Although I do not know Tracy's motive, clearly Tracy is the reason why Mark's body becomes so wet. Since meeting Tracy, Mark started to become wet. No matter how hard he tries to dry himself off, Mark thought he was sick. But when he went to the hospital, the doctors can't find anything wrong with him. Of course, if the devil had touched Mark's body through day healthcare, it would not be possible to find the cause. I can see some clarity in this, so you want to find a way to vanquish her, I asked. Exceeding my expectations, Mark hesitated. A demon standing right next to him, but he hesitates on sending it back to hell? Is he really memorized by it? Frankly, I can't blame Mark. Look at his long, disgusting scar. Men like that will hardly get any women to fall in love with him, let alone get married. It was so hard to find a girl who accepted to be with him and wanted to marry him, even though they had just been together for a while. And now, out of nowhere, he finds out his female is a ghost. He must be devastated and so vulnerable. Mark tells me he's 99% sure he met a ghost. He still wants to see me just to hope that he's wrong. Finding no other way, I propose I would help Mark trying not to hurt Tracy. I can't believe that Mark, with the appearance so ugly, his characteristic is such an introvert and hard to be acquainted with, has such a kind heart. The demon girl wishes to harm him, but he has such an admirable patience. Mark goes back home. Right instant, I open my father's chest to explore a way to vanquish this demonic entity. Oh, so Tracy is something called a dancer. Dancer is a female form demon who always stands alone in the rain. If she meets a man, she will give him a smile and stay close to cover him under the umbrella. From that moment, she will continue following him. The man who is being followed will always be drenching wet. Because of the normal person's capacity of humidity, a person would actually die if the humidity is too much to endure. The dancer doesn't have any special ability. Just an appearance level of magic could kill her. But the red umbrella is the problem. It possesses an abnormal superpower. Just standing under that umbrella, then the power of the sun's rays, or yin-yang glasses, will have no effect on her. The key is that umbrella, and if I want to vanquish her, I have to separate the demons and the umbrella. Then, she will reveal her true form. Witnessing her true form, surely Mark will give me the consent to defeat her once and for all. Aside from the yin-yang glasses, my father left me a great deal of equipment and weapons for defeating the evil side of Earth. It is time to make good use of these. One of my weapons is the blood of a black hound, which can make devils reveal themselves and can possibly damage the true form. I've decided to invite Mark and Tracy to dinner. I make a full tray of fried chicken, then mix the blood with ketchup and stir it up. The hot, delicious tray of fried chicken has been brought out. Mark could not help but pick up the chicken breast and gnaw it. He looks so wet and probably very cold. Seeing this, he will certainly cannot stand this attraction. Tracy seems a bit contradictory, but also does not think much, taking one piece of chicken breast. She never used cutlery, one hand holding umbrella, one hand holding chicken. You shouldn't open the umbrella in the house, I say. Not waiting for me to finish my sentence, Tracy glares at me with the sight Mark has seen before. A cold, murdery eyesight. That means I can kill you in seconds. I push the ketchup to Tracy. Mark dips his chicken into it and continues eating. Tracy does the same. A light breeze of wind blows inside the house, lifting up Tracy's hair. This time I can clearly see Tracy's face. Her beautiful face instantly turned grey with a layer of lime. I can see every drop of water dripping into the floor, the skin on Tracy's face slowly disappearing and reveals rotten patches, mixed with blood and flesh. From the rotting marks, the maggots crawled out onto the dining table. "Demons, reveal yourself!" I shout, leaping towards Tracy and grabbing the umbrella. Seeing her red umbrella being taken away, Tracy screamed like crazy. Her eyes are streaked with blood, her hair flying in the air, raising up her hands, her nails turning to bloody red, becoming longer and sharp, pointing towards me. Seeing that scene, Mark's so scared that his legs were shaking. The chicken in his hand had fallen to the ground ever since. I calmly took a few steps back, took out the yin-yang glasses from my pocket, and tossed Tracy's red umbrella in the corner. Tracy's power is mainly in the red umbrella, and she definitely cannot get it back. I pointed the yin and yang glasses at Tracy, whose body turned black like it was being burnt. It seemed in just a few seconds more, Tracy would be vanquished back to hell. Suddenly, Kiki ran up to me and barked. I startled and dropped the glass of yin and yang to the ground. Using that little window of opportunity, Tracy turned into the white smoke and disappeared in the air. Trying to comfort Mark, he has dropped to the floor, swamped with fear. Meanwhile, I understand this thing isn't over. When the dancer follows someone, it will follow that person till death. He wasn't being injured that seriously, so Mark still got to be this target tonight. Devil vengeance is something we all should be scared of, and this is an angry devil. The scenario right now is catastrophic. I bring Mark home, put him down on the sofa, turn on all the lights so I can comfort him, just for a little bit. Bring out my brush and draw into his palm. The sign in his hand can protect him from evil, but can only work once. When he sees Tracy, just put his hand forward and it will protect him from her presence. Mark lies down on the sofa, staring at the ceiling, tears quickly rolling down his cheeks. Tracy is the only one who can bring me the love I was so eager to find. My brother's gone. Now even she I can't keep. Mark says with hiccups and tears. Pouring down a single malt whiskey, I sigh and bottoms up. A chilly wind blows through my spine. I can feel she's coming. I put down my drink. It's time to get defensive. Out of nowhere, there's Tracy's cry out. Mark, Mark, come to me. Her voice echoes around the house and makes me can't locate exactly where she is. I'm here, Tracy. Where are you? Mark's crying and leaping up, searching around the house. You and Mark are not in the same universe. Staying with Mark will only let him to die. If you have any conscience left, leave him alone, I scream. Instantly, the cries stop. Tracy's voice shouts,
If not for you, I and Mark have already lived happily forever. It's because of you. Because of you. I have to kill you. I have to kill you.
When a ghost has determined to kill, the target would basically have no efficient defense to it, since the ghost's power and resentment were multiplied. Although I am not a true Omiyoji, from the knowledge I learned from my father, I will do my best to destroy this blasphemy. I held up the yin and yang glasses up high. It emits a rotating bagachaji that can repel evil spirits. The dancer must not be able to touch me. I'm still thinking about how to deal with the dancer, when suddenly I felt cold, as if someone was blowing cold air behind me. Something is wrong, I think to myself. I turned my head to see Tracy leaning her head on his shoulder and blowing some sort of air onto me. Her eyes were red. When I turned her head, she smiled at me, a deadly smile. I was frightened when I'm looking at the yin-yang glasses. At this time, I discovered it appeared like a crack. Maybe when Kiki barked, I startled and dropped the glasses on the ground. Maybe because of that, the crack gives Tracy a chance to sneak in. I found that I had no way to move. My entire body is paralyzed. As a demonic aura, Tracy blew into my body with an aura that made me unable to budge. The octagonal mirror has lost its effectiveness. Now I understand that dealing with the devil is not easy, especially for those who are not yet experienced as me. But it was all too late. Now unable to move, Tracy's canines reached for my neck. A few seconds later, maybe my head would leave my body. The dancer opened her large blood-stained mouth, and her knife-sharp teeth stabbed down to my neck. Death was near. Sweat on my forehead was constantly pouring out. Just as my hair was hanging, suddenly a golden light flashed. Tracy was about to bite me and was sent flying out by an invisible force. Turning his head back to see Mark brought the charm he thought to beat Tracy. Unexpectedly, the talisman I draw for Mark in the room saved my own life. When Tracy was knocked out, I was immediately able to move, so I immediately took a bottle of black dog blood from my pocket and dabbed my hand to draw a spell. Compared to the charm just now, the charm drawn with the black dog blood was 10 times more powerful. One punch smack down, Tracy would definitely scatter. Before she could hit a chancellor, Mark jumped to hug my neck from behind, tightly holding my arm. Quickly runs, goes quickly, never return here again. Go, please. Up to this point, Mark still insists on protecting Tracy. He has completely loved this witch, to the point that he could pay the price with his own life. I angrily open my mouth and bit Mark's hand to let him go, but Mark refused to let go. Tracy was beaten by one of Mark's punches, so a little weakened, she cried a look at Mark and disappeared. Tracy will not return, and Mark's health will gradually recover, but things are not as I expected. I continue to go back to selling my umbrellas. A week later, I still don't see Mark at my house. I went to Mark's house and found that the dampness on Mark was not reduced, but increased significantly. Mark fell ill, bedridden, unable to move, weakened like an old man. At this point, the only possible conclusion is that Tracy has never left and was still involved with Mark. In order to save Mark, I have to find Tracy. Tracy may still appear to have a protective red umbrella. First, I have to find a red umbrella. Quickly finding an umbrella in the corner, I grab the umbrella, pick up a lighter and a candle, and go to the toilet. If it was Mark, maybe just holding the umbrella could cool Tracy out easily, because he and Tracy had a bond. But I want to meet it, and might take some effort. Applying everything I learned from my father, I am determined to call Tracy out to solve it thoroughly. Noticing that the heaviest aura is in the toilet, I decide to go there to summon the dancer. I shut the toilet lid down, put the candle on top, then use the lighter to light the candle. I wait until 12 o'clock is the hour of the heaviest qui of the day. Combined with the negative quiz in the toilet, 2 heavy Guigon mixes will make the dancer easier. The bell rings at 12 o'clock at night. I hold out the red umbrella placed on the ground, look into the mirror, and call Tracy's name 3 times. The umbrella shakes, a gentle smoke comes out of the parachute, and there is no real body. "Tracy, show yourself! I want to meet you," I shout. Suddenly, my face in the mirror started to twitch. My hair started to grow, but I feel my hand on my face. I didn't feel anything like that. By the time the face in the mirror looks back, it has transformed into a woman's. It's Tracy. I startle backward. Tracy reaches out from the mirror and crawls out from it. Tracy comes close to me, brings out her long sharp nails to the heart, and shouts,
Everyone who prevents me from coming to Mark must die. Johnson is dead. Are you ready to follow him?
"It is not until Mark died that you will be satisfied. Spirits and people do not share the same path. Mark has always lived with you in the same place. His body is so wet. There is a shortage of solar energy. He is about to die. If you stay, I guarantee he can't live the night," I try to advise. The cold night wind whistles through the doorway, and Tracy flies into Mark's bedroom, where she sees Mark dying on the bed, his breath weakening, his face wrinkled like an old man, and she shed a tear. Tears rolled down her cheeks. When it falls, it precipitates into a solid on Mark. A transparent tear like a small crystal. Tracy places it in Mark's palm. In the world, there are many evil things, but this ghost dancer who shed tears is not fake at all, because humans, after death, will have nothing to lose. Every action of them will start from the needs of the heart, from the purest soul. The pure tears of crystallization proves that Tracy's feeling for Mark were genuine. Tracy stretches her hand and lightly touches Mark's face. Tracy takes her red umbrella and heads towards the fireplace. The fire flared up. The heat spread through the room. but could not warm up the painful cold air. Tracy slowly raises the umbrella to look at. She strokes each fold and then rolls it up neatly. Red nails lightly squeeze the umbrella. She turns to look at Mark one last time, then tosses the umbrella into the fireplace. It immediately catches fire. Fire toasts each part of the umbrella. On Tracy's body appears small sparks of fire and then gradually spread throughout the body. Each piece of scorched flesh turns grey and then gradually falls down in patches. Tracy's whole body is like a red torch that is burning and then dying. From start to finish, she's still looking at Mark, tears streaming down her eyes. Mark lies on the bed and slowly wakes up, his face still thin, but not as pale as a corpse. The wet bed also slowly becomes dry. Mark wakes up from his long coma, sits up and stretches. He sees a small crystal in his hand that feels quite strange, but he doesn't seem to care and puts it on the nightstand. In the end, Mark can remember Tracy's existence. I still regularly see umbrellas in my store. Everything is still as normal as nothing has happened. Humans and ghosts do not share the same path. Staying in the same place for a long time, not if one's yin is dissipated. The ghost yin will also extinguish the 3 flames on the body and die. Humans and ghosts cannot be together forever, and Tracy chose for Mark to live a happy human life. Each story ending brings a different feeling to the audience. Happy, sympathetic, sorry, angry. But hidden deep within those emotions is the self-learning for each and every one of us. Hidden behind each story is a life lesson that reminds us of the cyclic law of cause and effect, about the love between people in life. Remember to like and to support the channel, as well as help our community to develop more and more.